Hey there, coaches. How are you doing? It's Sanai here. And in this conversation, I want to get a little bit vulnerable and have some sort of honest conversation about what is going on when you feel like your business is just being burned to the ground. Maybe you feel like burning your business to the ground because for whatever reason, things just aren't working like they used to. Now, this is specifically for you if you have had some success in your business. Like maybe you've had a lot of success in your business. You've really been, soaring on an upward trajectory in your business, but then seemingly out of the blue and inexplicably, it's like everything just dries up, and it is agony. So if this is speaking to you, you may have found that, you've started backpedaling, looking at what you were doing before that used to work and trying to rekindle that, bring that back. Maybe you are feeling like you've lost some inspiration, like your creativity's down the toilet. You don't know what to talk about anymore. You feel like you're wading through treacle. Maybe you feel paralyzed, immobilized. It's just no matter what, you just can't seem to take action. And there is a real pressure in this state because you need to make money in your business. You need your business to work for you. You are responsible for bills and for mortgage payments or rent or providing for your children, your family, whatever it is. There is that additional humongous pressure of having to provide, having to support yourself, others, your family. So what is really going on? I want to talk about this because it's such an important topic, and yet not many people talk about it, and I think a lot of the time we push through this, or we struggle in silence. We continue to show up and have this sort of glossy outer persona, this image that on the outside looks like everything's going great, and yet behind the scenes there is an immense amount of struggle and pain and panic and freaking out. So I want to talk to you about this because I've been here in this very place, years ago, 2000. Well, I've been in this place where I felt like I was burning my business to the ground, probably 3 times in the 10 years that I've been in business. The first time was 2016. I remember it so well. It's one of those stories that I love to share because it was so revealing to me. But basically it was within 18 months of starting my business, September, let's call it October 2016. Up to that point, I had been soaring. I thought I had made it. I thought I had nailed this coaching business. I was having incredible successes. I was living the dream. I was spending like crazy, investing in the best coaches and going on retreats. I went to meet Jack Canfield in Boston, and I worked with some of the top coaches. And I was having a whale of a time, so I was spending like crazy, but I was earning like crazy, and it was incredible. And then in September 2016, I had my biggest ever month in business to date up to that point, and it was £17,000 in 1 month. I made £17,000, and I felt quite blank. I saw the numbers, and I was celebrating with my coach, but really I just kind of felt sort of blank around it, and I was sort of blinking, thinking this is insane, but I wasn't like absolutely kind of off the scale happy. And then in October, I signed no new clients. I didn't really notice because I had retainer income coming in and people paying monthly. So, there was still money coming in. But October, not a single new client. And this was unusual. November, nothing. Not a single new client. Some of my retainer clients, the retainer payments stopped. December, nothing. I went to Boston that month. had my retreat with Jack Canfield and my coach at the time, and these incredible, powerful women. It was a very exclusive, just 10 of us. And I thought that will reignite things again, and it didn't. So January, nothing. So October, November, December, January, 4 months of absolute nothing. By the end of January, early February, I was absolutely freaking out. I thought, this is it. This is the end. There must be an expiration period on this coaching business thing, whatever it is. Just had no clue. And luckily, I reached out to my coach from the previous year, and I was sobbing and saying to her, what's going on? What the hell? It's not like I'm not showing up. I'm doing everything. And we had a very powerful, revealing breakthrough session together. It was just through chat, but it showed me what was going on. And it was basically an up level, or hitting an upper limit, should I say. So in September, up to September, I was growing so rapidly in terms of financially. But by the time it came to September, and I'd had my biggest money month up to that point, I was growing so rapidly, but I hadn't identified with that version of myself. So I was misaligned with that identity of someone who can consistently create that. So I hit an upper limit of how much money I was able to earn. I was hit an upper limit of how much success. So I kind of subconsciously drove the bus into the ditch. And that's why everything ceased. And no matter what I did, nothing came in, because I was blocking it subconsciously until I kind of hit that reset and was able to realign again. So that was one version. And that's really hitting that upper limit of how much joy, how much money, how much success you, in your current identity, believe you deserve. So it's like a set point. So that was a massive learning curve for me, and how self-sabotage is so insidious and it affects us. And even when we're thinking we're doing all the things, it just blocks us from getting the results we want. So that was a real painful and yet enlightening learning curve for me. And I really had to go there to understand this upper limit. You know, if you've ever read Gay Hendricks, what's the book called? Let me just see on my shelf. Is it Gay Hendricks? It might just be called Upper Limit. The upper limiting problem he talks about. I can't believe I can't remember the name of the book. I'm just scanning my bookshelf that's in front of me. It'll come to me. I'll put it in the comments afterwards. But Gay Hendricks, that's so annoying. The Big Leap. It came to me, The Big Leap. He talks about these upper limiting problems, and that was what that incident was in 2016. So other mini versions where you suddenly hit like a cessation in your activities, in your creativity, and it might hit you at various times, but this is what I call it's the plateau. And the plateau is really following a period where you have been on an upward trajectory, but more in the sense of learning, consuming information, feeling incredible, like taking massive action, really being in that great high vibe, high inspired, creative place, and you're just learning. So you're really, really growing in that period. But what tends to happen, and we think again, these periods, we think they'll never end. But all of a sudden you hit this point where you wake up one day and all of a sudden you're just like, what? Oh, I can't seem to get myself to take the action I've been taking for the last few weeks or months. And suddenly you feel like you're wading through treacle. That's like wading through glue. It's just like, I just can't seem to get myself to do anything. You start to try and watch the videos, the trainings perhaps that you've invested in and that you've been enjoying up to this point, or reading the books that you've been enjoying up to this point. You pick up the book, you try and watch the video, and it's like nothing goes over. It's like you glaze over. You just can't take in anything else. So the plateau is literally where you've kind of expanded and you're so full of new information and knowledge and to a large degree experience, because you've been in action taking, that you haven't yet integrated all of that learning. So you reach a point where you've hit the perimeter walls of that, how much you've expanded. You can't take in anymore. It's like your body, your brain are crying out to just stop, so that you can recalibrate and allow that new knowledge, that new information, all of these new experiences to just embed and become you at a cellular level. So at the plateau point, this is where you really actually want to stop consuming, continue creating, but just be really gentle with yourself and just down tools from the consuming, because you can't take in anything more. It's like pouring water into a glass and that glass starts overflowing. You just don't continue pouring. You stop and allow that leveling out and start using some of that knowledge, implementing, trying it out, testing. So that's what I call the plateau. That's what that is. If you suddenly feel like you've hit this brick wall in your growth and your learning and your action taking. So another sort of, I call these gatekeepers of growth, because they're all about expansion, really. So the next one is dark night of the soul. And again, I went through a real dark night of the soul. I've been two really distinct dark nights of the soul. One of them came after I went on a retreat. It was a very, very powerful 5-day retreat in Sedona. It was a beautiful retreat, but we went deep. There was so much healing. And when I came back, I actually felt really depressed. I was excited at first. I thought, yes, there's so much has cleared. I can't wait to get back to my business and really kind of take it to the next level. And instead I came back, I was weepy. I felt depressed. I didn't know what was wrong with me again. What's wrong with me? Why can't I back up, and it just felt, and it was quite prolonged. It went on for quite a few weeks and I didn't know what it was. And it was only until a few of us from the retreat who had stayed in touch and we started to connect with one another. And it's been like the film Jacob's Ladder, if you've ever seen that. It was like, are you experiencing these like tears and you just feel depressed? And everyone's like, oh my God, me too, me too. And we realised, and also speaking to the retreat host, that, oh my God, it's because it's that we have cleared so much of that old stuff that we haven't yet embodied the new version. So it's kind of that messy middle. We're in the middle of these two identities, and the pull to go back to the old identity can feel very strong. The dark night of the soul is not a time to make decisions. I nearly made some really bad decisions in that period where I was thinking about going back to an ex and just going backwards to where it felt familiar and safe, and for God's sake, I just want some comfort. But they would have been really bad decisions long term, because they weren't aligned with where I was going and the new version of me that I was just realigning with very slowly. So that is dark night of the soul. If you feel like you're in that place, it comes after a period of real intense, deep healing work, cleansing work, and just clearing out some of those old energies. Before you step into that new version of you, you may go through dark night of the soul. And to navigate this as gently and compassionately as possible, this is really a time to rest. Just be gentle with yourself. Don't put any pressure on yourself. Just if you feel like, oh, I need to be doing something, I can't just sit and do nothing. Know that you're never actually doing nothing. Nothing is not possible. Inactivity is not possible. Because when you are just consciously, purposefully, intentionally being with yourself and just allowing yourself to feel all those emotions, there is a lot going on internally. There is a lot of activity going on. You're making space, you're clearing. And if you actually allow yourself to sit in that inactivity, physical inactivity, I promise you it won't be long before you start to feel the urge to move. Instead of forcing yourself, you will feel the pull, the draw, the urge, because we're naturally wanting to move and take action. So just be very present in that sensation. Okay, so what have we got? The plateau, the dark night of the soul, and then I call this the ledge. This one is really powerful, and sometimes we have to actually burn a lot of the business to the ground. Like this is a period of dissolution where you really are being called to your next level. And I've been through this quite recently, or very recently. I didn't recognize it for what it was. And it came after a really intense personal experience. I was going through bereavement, and this kind of shakes up your ego identity. So if you've been through something catalytic, if you've been through something that is quite transformative in some way, that really shakes up your world, whether it's an ill health experience or a breakup in a relationship or a bereavement, something major, it really gives you a glimpse of some other truth. It shakes up your ego identity. It makes you question, what is the truth? Who am I? And all these questions start to come up, and that can send you into a bit of a spiral. And you're just being shaken up. But the real purpose of this period, the real reason you feel so paralyzed and immobilized, again, it's like the dark night of the soul. You're being called to just recalibrate to a next level, and it's your ego adjusting to this next level identity and accepting that, and kind of, breaking away from the old identity that you're so familiar with. And so this period, again, it's similar to Dark Night of the Soul, but you are being called to your next level. What is your next level? What is that, perhaps that message that you've been ignoring? Where are you trying to fit yourself back into an old comfortable shoe, round peg, square hole type of thing, where you're trying to find that where you're comfortable, and what people perhaps know you for, and yet you're being called to something else, and that's why things aren't working. That's why your business has stopped working, the clients have stopped flowing, because again, it's about misalignment with your next level identity. So I hope, if this resonates, that you can take something from this, that really honor yourself, treat yourself with kindness, with compassion. This really is part of that growth trajectory, and it doesn't reflect on you. In fact, it's power as a negative, I should say. It reflects on your power, that you are constantly growing. The worst thing for most of us sort of hyperachieving entrepreneurs is that feeling of stagnating. That's what creates so much pain, as we put meaning on this. It's like, oh my God, I'm stagnating, and I'm going backwards. If you're not progressing, if you're not, moving mountains, it must mean X, Y, Z about me, that I'm lazy or I'm unproductive. And all of that is a fallacy. It's just the ego. It's another voice that's telling you that. And it's really about honoring where you're at in your journey, and that it's okay, and to honor the calling, whatever it is that you're being called to do. Okay, so just looked at the time. We're almost at 20 minutes. So thank you for watching. Thank you for staying with me. If this resonated with you, just let me know below. I'll put a link below if you want to book a call, have a chat, and connect, and see what magic can be created. Thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye for now.